everyone, welcome to the Jamie Love Show. This is JaiZeta. We are here at my raw vegan retreat staycation here in Los Angeles, and we just had a beautiful dinner and sitting here with JaiZeta and want to hear a little bit about your story, like what got you into the raw vegan lifestyle, or how long has it been too?
How long has it been? The raw vegan journey started for me. I was looking for it since birth, because at some point, whether it was in the womb or at the hospital, there's this mystery of when some injury happened. And I was called Bubble Boy by my classmates. The movie wasn't even out yet, so it wasn't even, they came up with it because they saw how I couldn't touch things. I couldn't breathe odors. If they had a dog, I had to run from it, all these allergies and long list. So I was in hospitals and ambulances. My throat was shutting up from eating certain foods, closing, and losing consciousness. This was my not even childhood. This was my infancy, and this was my infancy with touching the world. Oh, there's food, Mom, Dad. Oh, what's that? Can I have a bite? Like a little boy, 2 years old, 3 years old. And then you're losing consciousness in an ambulance, and you're just all right, I'm back. Yeah, so I'm back. And a lot of that. And then lots of doctors, and not knowing there was a raw vegan path at this point at all. Yet this was the foundation of looking for anything, because life was on the line. Life was on the line, and quality of life matters, I think, almost more than life itself, because if we're in a constant struggle, what kind of life is that?
What kind of diet were you raised on?
It was a good question. Fairly good, but way better than the average. Okay. My dad was a hunter, so he was feeding us wild game. Best, if you're going to eat the flesh, probably the best flesh you could be eating. Yeah. Up in Oregon. So
I grew up on pasta, bread, and cookies.
Nice. Yeah, all that was included. But we had a garden and wild game, and that was the main thing. And then we had all the other stuff. And when I got the allowance, I'd go to 7-Eleven and get Twinkies and all that. So I was eating all of it, but all the American stuff. So
Where'd you grow up?
A little town on the Oregon coast. Yeah. So we were running around in the forest, building tree forts and having fun, getting dirty.
Cool. That's very cool. So when did you actually go vegan? And what was that your health is what inspired you to go plant-based? Because you weren't going for ethical reasons at this point, right? It was just for health.
Fortunately, when I was 19, I saved up. I had a job. I forget what it was. I was 19. I was doing some funny job in Oregon. Maybe it was UPS or something, and cleaning the trucks. And I saved $700, and this was in '99. So $700 was just enough to move to California. Yeah, wild. But I pulled it off. I did.
You lived in California?
I moved down there, got an apartment, put the deposit.
Which city?
San Diego.
No way.
Yeah, right on the beach, Mission Beach. Yeah, it was beautiful.
What year?
99.
99.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right before the world was going to end.
Wow.
Remember Y2K? Do you remember that when the numbers on the computers, everyone thought
zeros
were going to line up and all the computers were going to crash?
I think I was in high school.
Well, what year were you born?
85, so 95. Yeah.
Sophomore.
Yeah. No, 14, right?
Yeah, 14, freshman, sophomore.
Freshman, yeah. I actually remember that year, at New Year's. I was at a party taking shots of tequila.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my childhood. That's nice.
Yeah. I was stealing beer from my dad's workshop in his coolers. He had an endless supply for me and my friends.
Isn't it funny, the transition that we make from where we were to where we are now?
Just searching, who says it? Charles Eisenstein, The Story of Separation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that frame is very accurate of us searching outside for what we're looking, the God that we are looking for, and searching outside for all these material, the bondage, culture that we're born into and taught through all the systems, even in our schooling, and it's embedded into the way they write history. And
where's your mic?
Oh, let's see, it's right there.
Okay.
I hope it was good.
Put it in your pocket.
Okay, it's good right there. No,
Okay, just want to make sure it's not muffled.
okay, yeah. What?
Yeah, it's perfect right there.
We can hang again. No, I know. We'll get it. We got it. We got it. You guys hear that? I hope so. Okay, anyway.
So you moved to San Diego in 99.
All in God's plan.
Yeah.
There's
no mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, in 99, made it to sunny California. And that, believe it or not, because I was struggling. I was barely able to do college classes. I couldn't focus in school. In high school, I was the kid sleeping in class, but it wasn't because I was lazy. I still got straight A's, barely, but I still did. I didn't. But I was chronic, the ill kid at school. My childhood was suffering. That was the main theme. It wasn't living a childhood.
Yeah.
It wasn't enjoying being in groups at school, and I wanted to. Like, right. I had, like we all do, I had maybe gifts I wanted to find and share with my classmates. So yeah, couldn't focus, had mental fog so bad, and got to realized that good weather made me feel better. The sun's energy, sunlight made me feel better. Exercising made me feel better. I didn't understand the lymphatic system yet. I didn't know that, but I knew, like, anecdotally, that this is real. This is a priority. Nobody I knew was prioritizing it. So I went to California with $700 and I made it. I landed, and my health lifted by about 20% just from that, which shows it's not food. You know, food's a...
Same thing happened to my husband when he moved here from Canada. Oh my gosh, it was like just the weather change and just being closer to the ocean.
Yes.
You know, because he moved here from Toronto, and like, you know, just the stuffiness of being away from the ocean air.
And the culture too of the people.
Right.
Like, also for us, anyone who's maybe more sensitive, gonna feel that culture, that unlively culture. It's gonna affect us more.
Right. So what, I know we're getting a little off topic, but what made you go back to Oregon? Is it too much? We're going too deep here?
No, deep's where I'm at. So the superficial stuff is so awkward for me, like when I play that with people. So yeah. This is where I swim or surf, maybe. Oregon. That's why I go back. So yeah, it caught up. So sure, I learned about veganism when I moved to California. I learned right away through somebody who told me about it spiritually and physically and life goal oriented and life purpose, all in the first hour I talked to this man on the beach.
Wow. The
first hour. And it was my version of Morpheus, who I met in real life. He was a Morpheus, and he still is. He became my mentor for 3 years, and he's still up there for #1 person I've ever encountered. And so I got on the vegan track right away, and I was mostly raw, about half raw. I started with the goal of being raw vegan at 60 or 70 years old, though. So didn't see it possible. I was too addicted. I was just too relied, on these foods for pleasure. And so I thought, I'll get there, 70 years. So anyway, so to jump forward, there's a key part here. I started bodybuilding in about 12 years ago. So I was about 12 years into San Diego, and living in California. I started bodybuilding and loading up on, I was vegan. I ate a lot of raw foods and great foods and veggie juices, and also just added a ton of protein on, a ton. And for me, it just, over those 4 years, I put on the bulk. I was 185.
When you say protein, but you were vegan, what were you eating?
Oh yeah, good point. Protein. I was eating sprouted powders, but they were powders. I was eating chlorella, but I was loading up on protein and fat.
And you put muscle on?
5 meals a day, 6 meals a day I did for 2 years. Wow. Full meals too.
Wow.
Yeah, and insane amounts of protein powder.
Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to kick you.
But I went from, I did for anybody, it's interesting, who wants to eat clean and bulk up. That's a whole conversation I won't go into right now.
I think that's what a lot of people are trying to do. They're trying to eat raw. Was it raw or just vegan?
It was vegan with a raw focus, but it was a lot of raw stuff still. So yeah, fried stuff was mixed in. But I went from 145 to 185, and I got it. I got the body. It looked incredible. People would stop me in public and say, "Wow, you're fit. You're fit. You look awesome. Wow." Yeah, I was like, really? Okay, cool. I mean, but then I looked on the inside. I was like a dead person. I just kept feeling deader and deader the longer I did it. So I got so sick, and it wasn't from that. I was already sick, remember? So then I couldn't work. I couldn't swallow food. I had so many symptoms. My throat muscle stopped working.
Still the allergies?
No, it had nothing to do with allergies. This was just now what
You had no idea what this was at this point, with the throat
I had
closing up.
no diagnosis from anybody. I didn't know about detoxification or cleansing. I knew nothing about what the root causes of anything, where I was going to doctor after doctor. I started going to naturopaths. I'd already been to allopathic doctors for 30 years. They all told me nothing useful, nothing.
Yeah.
No, I would tell them things useful about my situation, and they'd leave me with negative energy, and negative assistance or help. Yeah, every time. It was painful. It was difficult. The treatments they wanted to give me, they wanted to do surgeries on me. The throat was just one of 65 symptoms I had. I just bring it up because I couldn't swallow food. So it's hard to imagine every day if you can't swallow without severe pain and food getting lodged in your throat.
Oh my God.
And then you have to go to the bathroom and try to hurl it up for a half hour at the toilet.
Was there something in the esophagus?
That's the muscle. It's called dysphagia, I think, is the condition where the throat muscle doesn't function right. And so that was just one.
How is it now?
Oh, so yeah. So it's great now. It's perfect. Oh, it went away right away. They wanted to cut some of my throat out and do some weird stuff. Yeah. And
no one thought maybe it's your body being toxic or
no. Well, it did. I finally got to a good naturopath.
Okay.
I wonder how I got to read sport. We're going to get to that. So yeah, I got to read sport because I was almost dead from symptoms.
And this is all in San Diego?
This is all in San Diego. I went from fully.
And what age were you at this time?
30s, early 30s. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I ended up couldn't sustain work. I wouldn't need to go. I mean, those details. Let's talk about the healing, I guess. But sometimes you get in crazy places because of illness. And those are factors to the healing journey. And people look at you because you don't even know what's going on. Some of us don't know. And then people around us don't know how to relate and be supportive, even though they love us. And it's really, it's sort of, so many go through this. It's kind of sad, because when you can't look to people around you that care about you, and they do, but they don't know how to help, and they don't have experience with what you're going through, and you don't even have any memory of, at least awareness of what you're going through. You don't have doctors can't help you, but you know that you're dealing with it. And the people make it worse. Many people can make it worse.
They feel uncomfortable.
About 80% of the people in my life made everything worse for me.
Wow.
On a regular basis.
Wow.
Because they blamed me. There was a lot of gaslighting. And I learned a lot about myself through that by receiving it.
Wow.
What egoic mechanisms am I operating on?
Right.
It brought out so much in people around me, the healing journey.
Oh, wow.
That's an amazing blessing. So now I look at the treatment I got from them, because they didn't know how to help, and they wanted to, but it was still kind of some nasty, because they don't know. And now they know. Now they know, because I can explain it, and they can see.
They can see that you've healed.
They can see that I stopped going to doctors. And I ate all living foods, and I populated it in the proper methods. And I did long water fasting, and it was really quick to heal. It was like 8-month period where I went from 10% health at that point to 85, 90, 100. It wavers now. But yeah, so it's obvious to everybody I see now and talk to. It's no more.
So you started your raw journey around 12 years ago? No.
Fully raw? Yeah.
Are you fully raw now?
It's been I'm like 99. Most days I'm 100.
Okay. So when did that start? Fully raw?
5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 years. But I was really high before that.
But vegan since 99.
25 years, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, vegan does something. So many layers to the healing discussion, of course. Yeah. Because the vegan discussion is its own amazing field to illuminate. And but we're not really on that. I think I'll pass it to you.
So, well, I know you are working, you make recipes. You do raw food recipes.
Yeah, I do a lot of that.
When did you start getting into making food? Like really passionate about it?
Yeah, when I moved out of my world of creative network, my people and the artists I used to hang with, and the whole life, and moved into a life where I was severely ill and needed to heal, and I was with family and staying in a small town and isolated, and And I found out that isolation brings or gives revelation, and revelation gives elevation. And that's something that showed to me a beautiful piece to isolation. Once I started to recognize that, I was able to grow and heal ultra quick.
Do you feel like you've connected with your purpose after going raw?
It's to say that is with 10 exclamation points is an understatement. Yeah. 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 Thank God. Yeah. Thank God.
I think that's the biggest epiphany when you go raw is you connect to your purpose.
Yes.
Like you just feel like you figured it out.
Yes. It's a huge piece.
It's something that I had been searching for my whole life. And then I went raw and I just was like, this is it. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time I ever felt like a superhuman being.
Yeah, from a dead world to a lively world, a truly life-focused world.
I mean, my whole life is so different from, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, my habits, my everything that I do, my behaviors, my thoughts, how I feel. Like there's just so much more inner peace inside of me. I used to be such an angry person. I'm an Aries. Like I still, get angry, but it's more of a very subtle anger, it's like, but I used to really fly
Not so
off.
much smoke coming out.
Yeah. Man, I was like, just would fly off.
But that's that passion. You have that gift. Others light side of that anger. It drives you to move in the world and take action, which you do so well.
And that's the thing too, I think, is why I was probably angry and frustrated, because I didn't know what I was doing here.
Yeah.
What's the point? What's the purpose? What is my mission here in this world? And now that I have somewhere to channel my creative energy, I think it comes with age too. Like as you grow up, you just kind of mellow out a little bit, and you're not so stressed out in traffic. You don't have like road rage.
Right. The spiritual.
But the diet really helps. The lifestyle.
What would you say? What aspect? How does the diet do that? Spiritual. It seems like
the vibration of it. First of all, when you're eating raw and your body's clean, and you get parasites out, and you clean inflammation out of your brain through fasting, you have so much more clarity. You can focus. You can really be in tune with your intuition. Your thoughts are more clear. You have bigger vision. Your consciousness is so much more expanded, and your heart is so much more open. You can just feel so much love. You can connect to people. You can connect to animals. You can connect to nature. And it's just blissful sometimes. I mean, I've just, I have so many Samati moments. I don't know if you know like all the time. And it's amazing,
Yeah.
I mean, not every day, all day, but
sure.
I have them, I feel like in my 20s, it was like a lot of astral projection, lucid dreams, feeling the energy systems awakening in my body, my chakras. I felt my third eye open for the first time. But like in my 30s, it's been
embodied more.
It's like now I'm just really having these samadhi moments, and
spontaneously. Is there a certain pattern?
It's usually when I'm on my bike, honestly. Like I'm on my bike.
That's the best.
You guys,
that's the best,
it's like
right?
I'm on my bike and I have beautiful music on, and it's a beautiful sunny day, and the trees are just blowing, and I go through these gorgeous, rich neighborhoods with these $1 million houses, and immaculate yards, and the energy, you could just feel like how amazing the energy is, and you feel the breeze, hitting your skin, you feel the warmth and the light of the sun touching you, and then it just, I'm like, everything other than the present moment just falls away.
That's essential.
So amazing.
Yeah. So what pillar of health would you put that in? Is that a spiritual connection?
I mean, for me,
that's
the raw food
Is
lifestyle is a spiritual practice for me. I think it's been the number one biggest spiritual practice in my life, because
and it appears material and physical.
Right. Well, for some people it is,
yeah.
because some people don't have a spiritual connection to this lifestyle, this process.
Sure.
But for me,
absolutely,
I learned so much about myself through the hardships, the ups and the downs, the addiction, the everything that it's just been such a process of growth.
Yeah.
You know, and it sounds like that was like that for you too.
Yeah, profound.
It's like you're not the same person, right?
Oh, it's mostly, there's many frames to put it in, but a movement from an egocentric life to one of
a soulful life.
Maybe? Yeah,
like
a soulful
ego
life.
To soul, yeah.
A soulful life. Yeah, and that's like sounds like some like, like what does that mean? Like what is that? I mean, like so when you live it, okay, it makes there's a lot of sense there to it, and it literally is more sense. Mm-hmm. It's like more sensitivity too, which is this gift, and it's a big difference in fragility.
Yes,
so
very sensitive to subtle energies, and telepathically too. Like I feel like your spiritual, like psychic gifts get awakened.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and what does that mean for you? What's that look like? That's psychic gifts awaken.
Like all knowing. It's, what is it? What's that? Claire, conscientious or something? I forget what, all the Claires, there's clairvoyant.
I don't know if I know them all, but I know there's a bunch of Claires.
There's the one where you can feel the energy. There's one where you hear, there's the gift of sight, which I do have. I mean, I am clairvoyant. I do have the gift of sight. And I do.
So the gift of sight. What kind of sight? Because
I've seen my future.
Okay. So you get visions, like vision. It's a visual thing.
Very visual. Like I'm sitting here and I'm looking in the room and I'm just like I'm in a whole imagination world,
simultaneously. And it's giving you information.
Like I don't have to close my eyes or anything. I'm just like, okay. Like even when I'm talking and I get an idea, like I'm looking out there and people are like, where are you looking?
Like dolphins. This is how dolphins communicate and hang out. They're ultra clairvoyant.
For me, it's like, I feel like the best communication is energy. Just feeling energy. I feel like when I walk into a room, I can feel, I'm so sensitive. I can just feel the energy of the room. I can be on my bike. I love being on my bike because I can really feel out the energy of this everywhere, and even if I look at like a house and I stop and I it's like I almost, what's the word? I'm experiencing that house. Or I see a tree and it's like I can experience like I'm feeling into it, and it's like, I don't know, it's such a beautiful thing, like an alleyway, and it has a feeling to it, and I'm just like, it's like a memory almost, I'm tapping into like something.
Some of this isn't even in the English language, what you're experiencing, and this is why you're telling me about something that's not necessarily paranormal or something. It's not been in a, like in, how in Hindi they have words that describe some of this, right? A whole word where we have to use like a paragraph in the English language.
Samadhi is not an English language.
Right.
How would you describe that in English? Right.
Very good. Yeah.
I'm having this experience and I'm very present, and but all you have to say is samadhi, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You're right.
So you're very present, and let's do the English version. Let's do the translation here. So
for which one?
Samadhi.
So gosh.
I will do our best. We'll just play with it. Samadhi.
Well, you reach a very high level of consciousness, and
which is like some sort of light energy. We say it like I know these words.
It's like a moment of enlightenment, you know.
Yes,
but it's
it is.
like,
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
And it's higher dimensional connection that happens.
Because
what does that mean?
We are existing in all these dimensions at once.
Yes,
right.
Already, that's the thing. We are. It's like, we're not aware of it, and that's like.
Well, there's different levels of awakening, and there's different levels of consciousness, right? So sometimes I could be at like this level. And then I will like, my consciousness will expand to a certain level. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you know, I can feel when I lift up and I raise and my consciousness is opening. And it feels like sometimes I think I'm awake, but then I really wake up. And I'm like, I was asleep that whole time, you know, like I wasn't even awake, you know.
Yeah.
Does that happen? Like, it's like you waking up, like a dream within a dream.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's frequencies.
Yeah.
Frequencies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happening.
I mean, it's the connection too. I mean, especially in relationships. Like, I don't know if you've ever been in a relationship where this has happened, but when you're disconnected from your partner and then you have the moment where you connect, you realize how disconnected you've been.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's kind of like how it is with life and reaching a samadhi moment. You're like, this is it, you know. This is like, I've been asleep. I've been just running on programming, or, you know, I've just been going on autopilot, or, you know, because we do fall so easily. We fall so easily just into unconscious behavior, not even realizing that
until a point
something happens,
and then and then we get a what do we do? Because that has its own lifespan or its own time frame, and then we're done with that.
It might last a minute. It might last 5 minutes.
I mean, on the bigger picture of like falling out, and then because we fall out, we tend to fall out less and less, shorter times, and then all of a sudden, well,
you start living from that state.
Yeah.
So here's the thing,
because there's an integration process happening, initiation or integration, and it's embodied, and it's like the muscle gets in shape.
Right.
Maybe. Yeah.
Like, let's say like when you are really living from ego and you're not living in the present.
It's so funny now. I used to quiver when I hear that word. Because it was like running me, and now it's so funny. It's like ego. It's just so funny. Yeah. It's like such a great tool.
But when you're living out of from your ego, right? And you're in the past and you're in the future, and you're just living out of like conscious or programming, and you're never present. You're never being present, right?
Yeah.
But then you'll have a moment of presence.
Yeah.
And that moment are so far and few between. But then, like you said, they start to get a little bit more and a little bit more. And then eventually when you start to live in that level, it's like they happen, that you start falling backwards. And the moments that you have are no longer now just being present, but the moments, because you're living more in the present moment, you fall into moments of unconsciousness.
Nice.
Right? Yeah. Doesn't it? It's like flip-flopped.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. It's great. It's great. I remember seeing when that was coming. I was like, oh, that's going to come, because I've seen this pattern long enough where the windows of presence keep getting longer and longer. And that means the other ones are getting, there was like, you start, yay. I look forward to my future more than ever now, because it's going to get so long and it's going to get so consistent and regular. So
that is cool. Yeah. To look forward to that, because I mean, I woke up the other day and I was like, I just love feeling aware a lot of the time, you know, just very aware. And I never used to feel like that. And it was very hard. Like when I would have those moments of conscious awareness and presence, I would almost try to grasp onto it, you know, and it would just slip through my fingers. And I was like, you know, like I wanted to hang on to it. Right. And I wanted it to stay.
But you noticed it.
But it was like my brain. I don't know if it's because of the gluten I was eating or the diet, but now, because my body's clean, my brain is clean, and I've done the inner work, it's just so much easier to just like, there's no more clinging for that.
Right. The clinging. Yeah.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Gosh. Okay. So that's fascinating, Jamie.
I
like where this has gone. It's going. It's going.
It is going. It is.
Yeah, it's good.
We're not on drugs, guys. We're just high on raw food.
Yeah. We are. Well, when everyone's ready to cleanse and heal and become, it's when, there's many stages, but when they want to, when they're ready to recognize the suffering that they're in, they start being honest about that. When they've suffered enough, there's an honesty that comes in, right? And okay, it's time to say, I am struggling. I am weak. I have weaknesses, right? Because that's its own level of ego that people won't even admit they have a weakness because they think that's the end of them. And so early on of the clinging, which is full-time clinging, which you kind of mentioned there initially and then there's moments of honesty, which I've been seeing in people beyond myself and many people beyond me, of not just people that are into the spiritual world per se, but they are fundamentally, to be honest with yourself at that level, there is some intuitive knowing of God. There is some level of that available. So, or happening. That's how I see it that's what I recognize in people. And that honesty, that point of being honest about it, allows those windows to start happening, those moments of presence and joy and new feelings. Because look, with honesty about one's self or identity of self or version of self or whatever it is, because before there was show no weakness when the ego's running the show full time, like show no weakness. And if I did, deny it, just deny. It wasn't me. It was always them. They're always the bad guy, because it's duality game. So that's what the program's running. It's always one or the other. There's not this spectrum of the truth, which is what the beauty that awaits. And that's kind of the higher dimensional. That's a way to translate the octaves of the dimension of like the dimension we're talking about, of a higher vibrational shift, or the higher dimension to live in. And okay,
I just know that when you say quality of life, right?
Yeah.
I want to live a high quality life, and that's through presence, conscious awareness. And like just having that clarity in your mind and being able to like just fully experience what's happening right now, Otherwise, if you saw that movie Click, where he just kind of fast forwards through his life to skip through, I mean, that's what so many people are doing. They're just kind of like sleeping through their life. Like, what kind of quality is that? And then on top of it, they don't feel good. Right? Yeah. They are suffering tremendously, but I think you have to do the inner work. But while you're on this diet, you have to.
The diet allows such big progress to open up, like gates to new places of healing and life quality that people don't, like you were saying, earlier, they don't know it yet. Right. So they don't know. They might not have a background of high health in their genetic memory, not only in this, lifespan, which hardly anyone does currently on Earth, but they might not have it in their genetic memory. And some of us do. And that's why we're compelled to go down a path of life focus and willing to let go of the...
I think if somebody never had any kind of ailments or anything, like they're not going to like seek out solutions to feel better.
There's that too.
Right? It's like they're like, well, I feel fine. I feel great. I can eat this way and I don't feel like I need to change my diet or anything. I mean, I am not for like forcing anybody to do anything. It's not my job to change people or try to get them to eat a certain way. I feel like everybody is, kind of on their own journey and has their own lessons,
Yeah, big time.
And I feel like that's just a big waste of energy of like trying to control other people, But we can inspire them,
Yeah, that's a good summary, right? That for me, I'm going to take that forward. To inspire them, not change them. They'll change themselves. They'll do the changing.
Yeah.
Like
and they have to want to do it too. Like we see people suffering and it's so hard because we're like, I know this could help. I know you could feel so much better. I know like your life would completely change. Your depression would go away. You would wake up feeling amazing, full of energy and happy. But some people just, like I mean, my aunt, the reason I actually went vegan in the first place, or I'll say plant-based, the reason I went plant-based in the first place is because my aunt got cancer. But she did not, we did it for her to try to inspire her.
Wow.
And she didn't, but it changed my life.
Mm.
So her getting sick altered the course of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a gift she was here to give you.
Isn't that a gift? Yeah.
Yeah. It's part of her life purpose.
It's interesting
Fulfilled.
when we talk about that. My brother, he died at 11 years old. And I never met him. He died before I was born. But my mother only had me because she lost a child. And she wanted another baby because she lost one. So could you imagine whatever his purpose was in this life? If he didn't pass away, I might not be here. My children wouldn't be here.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, that's his journey. Yeah, fulfilled. God has
like, what if that was
God's
his, what
plan
if that was
unfolding.
His plan?
Yeah.
You know
There's
what I
perfection in all this, and you're seeing.
Yeah, I just got goosebumps.
Yeah,
wow.
When we see that, it tends to happen more too. It's when we recognize the perfection
and that's
in these
one of the
fumbles.
That's one of the gifts.
What
too.
appear to be fumbles from an ego level, but then from the soul's level, your brother
right
wanted, that was his soul, that was his journey. This ride,
right,
was to come in and go out early, and then these interconnections, which are happening.
But the thing is, remember we were talking about the spiritual gifts and like what we can see.
Yes,
is that we're able to see all the interconnectedness of things when our consciousness is expanded, right? Like when these spiritual gifts awaken, because not everybody can really put these pieces together, and they can't see patterns. They can't see, the dynamic, the relationship dynamic, the mirroring, the projecting, like,
oh, yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Right. They don't even recognize.
Like they don't even see anything, but it's like that. Like those are things that awaken, that you're like able to see the wider. You're just able to see wider and broader.
Emotional literacy can come so quick. I'm amazed at people that I see, including myself. It was an amazing moment to start exploring emotional language, emotion, and become conscious of the emotional experience within myself, and watch it in others. And now I watch it in others, and I'm amazed. And sometimes I'm helping them out, but sometimes it's amazing how much we're equipped with the wisdom. It's just like a focus. Like when we start focusing on it, it's already there. It's the knowledge is already available. The soul is carrying.
Well, and that's the thing, is just like cleaning your body up so that you're not blocked off to it.
Yep.
It's not like you're developing anything new. I think these gifts are already inside of us. We're so blocked off from feeling energy, and our vibration is so low.
We're carrying a bunch of poison, about 100 forms or 1,000 forms of different poisons, and we're harboring
our brain
Satan
can't function
in the
properly.
body. We're harboring Satan versus being a temple of God.
Wow.
So that's
interesting.
When we're not clean, that's
especially
what we
when you
are.
have parasites. That really is
add on. They're included.
Because those are like demons inside of you. They control your mind, your thoughts, your behaviors.
And so do particulates and heavy metal buildup, and all, even the cellular waste, which is just like sewage.
And that's why I love fasting.
And it's all clogging.
That's why I love fasting.
It's that simple.
I just finished a 4-day fast before I came here.
Yes. No food for 4 days.
For 4 days.
Amazingly fun. Once you get going, it starts to be fun. Do you find that now?
I just love the way I feel and the way I look. Like I honestly, after I was trying on clothes and I felt like a supermodel. I'm not joking. You work for it. I do. I do. I work hard. Yeah.
And you live, by also living a quality life. It's like kind of like that.
Yeah.
Granted, you have some genetic gifts, to help that, but
no, everyone in my family's obese.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you put me next to my family, you would be like, "This
no,
is
you
not
work
your family."
for it. You work for it.
I work hard.
You do.
I have to. Yes.
You're disciplined, which it just means discipline and direction versus disorder.
Well, I saw my family, and I said, I don't want to suffer. I don't want this. I don't want to be another statistic. You know, I see them dealing with cancer and, you know, high blood pressure, strokes, you know, just all these things. And
I hurt from just thinking about them. But how are you doing with that? Are you, that's an area I'm working on and it's going good. It's going better. Is letting them be on that path of suffering, letting them be on that, you know, particular.
I moved 3,000 miles away. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I had to move 3,000 miles away.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, it's very hard because, like, as a mother, I'm so, like, connected to my children, you know, like, it's actually a lot easier for me not living with them, because when I was living with them, especially having OCD, it would drive me nuts.
Now it all goes into raw meetups. I just got to add that because that's what it is. This is energy, but go ahead. Yeah.
Well, no,
it was like where does it go?
It still drives me nuts.
And more, but
yeah, they're eating the standard American diet. They don't exercise. They won't open the blinds and let the sun come into their rooms.
Yeah.
And I'm just
inverted living.
Oh my God. And you know, it's so opposite of my lifestyle. And it's like, I just want to, I want to educate them and I want to inspire them, but they're not having it at all. So it's actually just easier for me not to live with them, because it's like, when I was with them, I was like constantly nitpicking all day, like, open your window, go exercise, go for a walk.
Because you love them, and how can you not point out?
And then it just seemed like I was just criticizing them all day, you know?
Does.
So it's it's just easier. Like, you live your life. I'll see you, you know, when I see you, and we'll move with my family too. Like, I see my kid, well, my daughter at least, once a week or once every 2 weeks. And my family, every couple of years I'll go see them, but it's not often. Because I feel like at this point in my life, I do better by myself.
Sometimes the boundaries are those ones with the family are, you know, the hardest ones to make, but they're the most, at a point, it's essential to make. And it's
I was like, very, very
sometimes
close with my family growing up, very close with them. It was very hard. Even when I moved to California, I talked to them all the time, every day. I would call my mom 5 times a day.
Yeah, that's very hard.
It was hard. But, you know, now I just want peace.
Yeah, you have to take care of yourself too. So first.
I do. So, and now, because I am taking care of myself, when I do see my daughter, I'm so good with her.
Right. So,
you know?
so that's,
she's 13. Like, she's got a bad attitude sometimes, you know, and I'm non-reactive now.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I'm just like, you know, not affected.
Wow. Is she blessed? She'll know it someday, I imagine, how blessed she is to have you as her mother.
You want to hear something funny?
Wow.
I asked her, because I used to yell a lot. Okay, when I was living with my kids, I was like,
It's funny if you're not on the other end of it. It's like I'm laughing over here. She wasn't, was she? You know?
I mean, you don't know what I dealt with. You know, my parents yelled at me like crazy. So it's like, you know, I think everyone kind of screws their kids up, you know, it's very hard not to, you know, but I did yell a lot. And I mean, I was also a really fun mom, you know, there was a lot of laughs, a lot of love, but you know, I was a very tough mom. I'm an Aries woman.
Well, they need a little tough love too. You know, not even a little, they need enough.
Yeah. So I asked my daughter, because I've come a long way since then. I was asking her about because she's like, I'm going to start driving in 3 years. And I said, who's going to teach you to drive? Who do you want to teach you to drive? She's like, well, either you or dad. She goes, I feel like, maybe you, because I feel like dad would yell and you're not going to yell at me.
Wow.
Like, she feels safe around me, you know, like that she's not going to, like, I'm not going to yell at her. Like, that's huge.
That is. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Come a long way.
Thank goodness, the gifts of parenting. Yeah. The many gifts of parenting.
I feel bad for the kids who are our guinea pigs while we're learning from them, you know. Sure. It's, you know, it's hard. Actually, I was talking to this girl. I did a live with her. She was saying how our children are the future, right? So we're trying to change the world. We're trying to improve everything. But how do we really improve the world? We start with the mothers of the children, cleaning up the mothers, getting the parasites out of them before they have kids, doing the inner work, getting them on a raw diet, cleaning them up, raising their vibration, right? Cleaning their sexual energy. You know what I'm saying? Like becoming pure beings so that they can be in alignment with these pure starseed souls that want to come into Earth. Right?
Yeah.
Like if we want to attract, because think about it, when a woman conceives, she's conceiving off of her karma, like her energy, right?
Yeah.
But if we clean up our karma, we clean up our body, clean up our mothers, and before they conceive, like they're going to be a vibrational match to these very high vibrational spirits that want to come down to Earth.
Indeed.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
You know, could you imagine? Like,
I do. I have for a long time.
That would be amazing.
Yes, it would, and it will be. I'm just. I bank. My money is where that's coming. That's happening. That's on the verge. It's happening because the whole the awakening of life principles is happening now.
Right.
It is happening.
Right.
Intermittent fasting is a regular discussion right now in the world, in the world of health and wellness. Intermittent fasting is now known. It's a normal word. It's a normal phrase.
Right.
What does intermittent fasting lead to? Prolonged fasting.
Yeah.
Well, so the foundation is just the seeds are, it's decades and decades of it, of that. So
the children that are being born today are being born through their mother's trauma. And it's being passed into the child.
Sure.
So my mother lost a child, right, before I was born. So I have in my genetic DNA, in my genetic code, right, I have the pain of my mother losing a child. So I have my mother's pain inside of me. But what if we didn't pass on our trauma, our pain to our children? Right?
What if?
Yeah. What if? And then because the mothers are not awakened, they're not clean, they're acting out of their own shit. And the children didn't ask to be here. And they have to suffer the consequences of the fact that the parents don't know what the heck they're doing. They don't even know how to love.
Yeah. As the nervous system develops, then they're receiving love, love programs based on love.
The parents are just acting out of patterns.
Honesty, emotional intelligence.
Yeah, and they have no emotional intelligence, and then it screws up the kid. And we have all these screwed up children that are going to be the future.
And emotional intelligence isn't something that's out of, it is. So it's not it's like not out of access, but it's accessible when we're ready. So, but until then it's not accessible, but it's not some like crazy language. It's not something that's like, you have to, do you know what I mean? It's like, cause it's basic, cause we're already running all the patterns. So it's literally, like you said earlier, it's just becoming aware about the patterns, like bringing awareness to that and watching, and then knowing, this equals that, and this equals that. So this makes suffering when we do this, when we're dishonest about our emotions. And so when we're honest about our emotions, and we can basically talk, most people, including myself, I remember, I'm still working on it, but most people that I talk to about this, when I bring up, or it comes up, emotional literacy, as I typically call it, that we're looking for, is the articulating our emotions in itself, putting a word on what we're feeling in the moment, is the language, the first level of the language that's like not even known by people. I've asked people to name emotions, and typically they can name like 4 or 5, and that's all they come up with.
Wow.
I'm not saying I'm much better than I can do, but probably now, because I've been like focusing on it for a number of years now, but still, like, even knowing how to say what we're feeling, like within our own awareness, with our own conscience. What am I even feeling? I don't know. I'm just running on. But if we like start to learn words of emotions and how to be honest.
Well, I think a big thing too is to be able to look at it objectively.
Yeah.
Right? Like not to be pulled into it, but to see what we're feeling. Like, just be like, all right, I'm feeling sad.
Yeah, there it is.
That's what we're doing.
It's not the end of me, because I said I'm in a negative emotion.
So it's like that terrifying, though there's also the layer of fear around being honest about an emotion that blocks the ego from like that ego, right? So it's like, no, you don't say what you're feeling. If you show weakness, you're done. It's the end of you.
Well, I think
and then we crack, and then we open up,
right.
and then we start to be honest, and we find this feels good. Oh my gosh, I can do this. I can be a man, especially for men to say their emotions, to show weakness, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, tough. We got to be tough. We got to be hard, always. But but also be soft. Like, can we be both? Can we hold both? Can we hold the parts together?
Wow.
That as a man or woman.
Yeah.
Or
yeah. Oh man, I was gonna say something.
You were. It'll come. It was a language of emotions and the fear around being honest.
People are just afraid of emotions, right? They're afraid of depression. But it's like, if you think about it,
right?
You've never just stayed in a bad mood. Like it comes and goes, right? So you just have to ride the wave out. You're like, all right, I'm feeling depressed now. Let me just, cry it out, put some sad music on or something, and you're going to feel fine in a couple hours. Or, like if you can really just accept it, like you might be able to snap out of it in 15 minutes. Instead of 3 days or a week or a month.
In many cases, absolutely. And to add to that, you also, if you don't resist it while you're going through it, there's gifts within the negative, emotions, the hard emotions, right? So there's gifts within that. So why am I even feeling this? Or what is it here
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Am I here to just slow down? Do I need to slow down? Do I need to feel something? Is it going to show me something like I'm not liking? Do I need to pay attention and let it move my life, actually, not just be hurt by it, right?
But it's like there's something beautiful in the pain. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like joy is beautiful, love is beautiful, but even heartbreak can feel beautiful. Like you're experiencing something in this human body. You know what I mean? Like it's not the worst thing in the world. Like it's like it's all here to help you transform and to grow. Mm-hmm. And there's just, I don't know. I mean, there's no really good or bad, like even anger, like you said, like anger can feel good, like you harness that, it's like this powerful feeling. You're like, oh, let me channel this into something,
Emotion. I once heard
energy
somewhere.
And motion.
That it's meant to be felt and then move us and allow it to move us in a conscious, in a like what is it here? What is the lesson? What is it here to show? What is it here to reveal?
Right.
And then allowing movement to happen versus resisting it. It's like one of the two. It's like, okay, do I resist? And that's the culture that we've been in the emotionally illiterate culture on Earth for a long time.
Yeah.
And why not everywhere? Thank goodness. There's but it seems to be in my life. That's what I've seen a lot of, and then the resistance part of it that's passed along even by school teachers and doctors and you name it, parents, of course, and classmates.
Well, nobody wants to feel anything. That's why we have drugs and food and sex and porn and TV and TikTok and movies and binging Netflix. Nobody wants to feel anything. How hard to be
a kid these days. Oh my gosh. Oh, it was so good. I know.
I have no idea what I'm going to watch on Netflix today or YouTube. They have the whole world at their fingertips. They didn't have to wait till Saturday morning to see to watch their show.
Yes, they didn't. Yeah.
Well, we're coming up to the hour now. Yeah. Is there any last things you want to share? What's your favorite raw food?
Favorite raw food?
Yeah.
Watermelon, mango, banana.
Like a smoothie or just
straight monomeal. Best for sure, especially after fasting.
Wait, watermelon, mango,
banana, not in combination. Okay. Like those were in order.
My favorite.
Probably.
I think watermelon's my favorite fruit too.
Yeah, it has been since I was a little boy. And when I found out that's what's going to heal me, I was like, you're a good doctor who told me that.
We had watermelon very infrequently when I was a kid. And I loved it.
Oh.
And I'm just thinking, like, why didn't my parents feed me more fruit? Because I love fruits and veggies. I actually grew up with an aversion to meat from birth.
Yeah.
Never ate meat, ever. Like, the first time my parents tried to give me meat, I threw up. And every time they would give me meat, like, as soon as it would hit my mouth, I would throw up, even at a restaurant.
Wow.
So they took me to the doctor, and they said, we can't get her to eat meat. And he said, she'll probably outlive all of us.
Oh, wow.
That's what he said.
I did not expect to hear that in the story. Wow.
So they gave up.
So how old were you when you heard this from a doctor?
Oh, I was probably 1 or 2.
Wow. Okay.
When they took me. Yeah, they were really nervous. Like, why am I not eating animals, you know? And my whole family's meat eaters.
Well, it was an unusual doctor, especially in that time.
I got lucky because, you know, like it could have been a different doctor, but you know, everything happens for a reason.
So they weren't trying to treat you for a disorder. They were like, okay, she's going to be healthier. And they told your parents, and then they let you not eat meat?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. But because my family was Italian.
Little kids, if you hear about this is a way you can get out of it. Go see your doctor.
So my mom and my dad, like, they didn't know what to feed me. And my family was Italian, so they would always have bread and pasta and whatever meat, right?
More cheese.
Cheese,
added,
bread, and pasta.
Yeah.
So I grew up on bread, pasta, and cheese.
So maybe more dairy might not have been an improvement.
I had a lot of health issues when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
because it wasn't like I was eating vegetables, because they weren't eating healthy, and they didn't know what to give me. So I had pasta every day for my whole life. Every freaking day. You can imagine the brain fog that I had.
I can.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
That was a lot.
Wow. How far you've come.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Really far. Really far.
Yeah. Okay. So what was the single most important thing, our act you've taken for this great span you've traversed with yourself, with your vitality?
Going raw. The day I found out about the raw food diet changed my whole life.
More than fasting?
I started fasting before I went raw. I actually started fasting 20 years ago when my aunt got cancer. I started juicing, fasting, doing enemas, and I went plant-based.
Colonics?
No. I did 2 or 3 times in my life. I don't enjoy colonics at all. I hate colonics.
It's a certain
so freaking
taste.
invasive. I'm like, get out of there. This thing is like this big. Yeah, but I do saltwater flushes. I do enemas, and I recently just did a 10-day detox, cleaning out the mucoid plaque, and that was amazing.
Get it out.
Yeah.
Get it on time to clean house.
Yeah.
People go clean their houses and cars and make it all look nice and clean. Yeah.
Oh my God. Do an oil change on yourself. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. My gosh.
But the fasting honestly has been amazing, but I haven't been fully raw for the whole 13 years since I found the diet. But I think what's kept me healthy is the fasting.
It's mandatory for an animal on a planet who's experiencing sickness or injury to water fast. It's not even like this thing. It's not a therapy. It's not, it's like literally like eating and drinking and food and shelter and air. Your body actually has to stimulate autophagy. It has to clean out the cells. Or it will suffer and be compromised or disordered.
Like you said, the cell waste, right? The waste from the cells. But if you...
And environmental toxins, which are natural. Go ahead.
Well, if you... Especially if you're not eating clean raw food diet, you should be fasting consistently.
Regular maintenance fast, but first it's going to be real hard for many because there's so much buildup.
Addiction too.
And then they have to start getting that out.
Some people it's afraid for them to skip one meal.
Yeah. Oh, they think they'll die if they don't have food for 5 hours. Many people.
But something magical happens when you go days without eating.
And look at us.
Oh my gosh.
Are we alive?
We're not dead.
Have we done what the doctor said it couldn't happen? Well, yeah. Yeah. And I look forward to telling one doctor in particular, I got to go visit him and say, look what I did. Because I got off your thousands of dollars a month regimen. Yeah. He's a great guy. I like him so much.
Yeah.
And and I want to say, well, this is what I ended up doing. Why you didn't see me. And this is how quick I got. Yeah. so far, which is how you wanted, where you wanted to get me.
Right.
But he doesn't know either, because he hasn't done enough work. He hasn't done that fasting. He hasn't done the living focus, the life force focus.
Wow.
Fundamentally, that's the number one priority. That's not, when you don't compromise that and like be like, okay, I can do this thing here, and if I cook this, it's digestible, so it's food, etc., etc. All the excuses on how to disorder life, how to go in and manipulate. And that's kind of what the focus has been in the world and what people are plugged into. And then when we simplify and align with the natural rhythms of the universe are already set up for us to thrive on. They're already, that's what our body's built for. That's what the genetic code is. That's what the soul's energy is. That's what the soul's intelligence, God's intelligence is. It's like a seamless system that's already waiting for us just to, it's simplify really too. It's simplify and choose wholeness, not distorting and not blocking and creating blockage with like, so we take a food, it's beautiful, and I take a fruit like a mango and it's perfect. But then what do people do to it? They
grind it, they cook it, they add it, they move, they do stuff to it. Yeah. Have you noticed that like before this lifestyle, when you were very unhealthy, how the sun felt very damaging? And now it feels very healing.
Somewhat. Something you've felt a lot.
Yeah, because it's like it just felt like the sun, right? But now it's like God's light is it's like the light from heaven is coming down on me. Yeah. And it doesn't feel like there's anything damaging about it. It just feels like I'm allowing the sun to touch me, right? And it's just like doing something to my DNA, like it's information or it's intelligence. Oh yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It's like the light of God, you know.
Gosh, I missed that's amazing. That's beautiful. I'm so happy you're experiencing this like this. Yeah, and you're just articulating it.
Like when I walk outside,
the world to hear about that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
When I walk outside,
because if people take it for granted, like they just take it like it's just this thing that's irritating in many cases. Like they're not. It's like
when I walk outside and the sun, and I feel the sun, like wherever it is, I'm like, oh, and I stop and I just smile because it's so blissful to just feel it. It feels like bliss.
Yeah, sunlight. Yeah, sun rays.
And now I can be out in the sun for hours and I don't burn.
Nice.
And it's like, I don't know. It's so nourishing to me. It's so healing and nourishing.
Essential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I used to burn when I was younger. I used to be very sensitive to the light.
Okay.
I stopped wearing sunglasses.
Well, you were severely dehydrated comparatively.
Speaking of,
and
some water.
Yeah, you were severely dehydrated, and you were full of toxins and heavy metals at high levels, which is standard on Earth for almost all humans. And so you were one of those. And then sunlight is going to interact with that chemistry a little different. Yeah, a little different than a clean body that's hydrated. And
life is just so different. I just feel like I'm living on heaven on earth now compared to what I used to live.
Yes.
You know? I mean, I have bad days, of course. I have days where life sucks and I'm like, I hate it here, but for the majority of the time now, life is beautiful. I still fall into those old patterns.
Because that's the human ride. And we're alive, then there's something work to do. And if there's work to do, there's some sort of like, what is it? Not turbulence. There's some sort of
discomfort,
struggle. Yeah. Or discomfort. Yeah. And that's the human ride. And so, yeah. And then when we're had enough, then something else. Something else. So, true. But I think fundamentally what you're saying is that the heaven on earth is what you're. I love that conversation because I have views on both sides, like of that idea, and I enjoy it now more than ever because I can see the essence of that, and that you are, for example, referring to that heaven on earth, and many people would say, yeah, because look at like a privileged life, like things you have, like people will say that heaven on earth, sure, that's because you don't have all the excuses, but you came from you came from a world of different hardship. Struggles.
Yeah. Struggle and hardship.
Partially because of a focus on that goodness, that you cultivate more of it. Yeah. You cultivate more of it.
The thing is that I can live from my light but I also, there's darkness inside of me as well. And like, sometimes that shadow self, you know, like it comes out.
Yes.
And I'm like living in that shadow.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
And I'm like, all right. Just
all of a sudden you're back to that. Yeah. How is this possible?
It's like I'm two different people sometimes.
And very important.
You know?
I'm really glad that we entered this domain here, because this is, it's this huge. Keep going. Keep going.
I don't just pretend to be like this. Well, for like I said, majority of the time I'm feeling good. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Compared to when I used to. I went through a very long time where I was like miserable every day. I would wake up like, I hate living, you know, like I just hated life, you know, very depressed.
And many people are suicidal, like daily, at that level.
I struggled. Oh my God.
With barely a hope, barely a ray of light in their life, like barely anything, just hanging on.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, you know, I've gone through some stuff even recently where I was feeling like I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. But then the next day I'm like, life is amazing. You know what I mean? That, you know, we just have to know that nothing lasts. This too shall pass. Even if you're suicidal one day, the next day you're like, oh my God, everything is beautiful. Everything's fine.
And for some.
For some.
But that matters to address that too, for them. Like, and then the ones that are not that
Well, I think if you are reliving the same old story over and over again, you're just going to keep staying in that pattern of depression. If you're, I want to say, but that's so easy. Some people have this, but when you can find, it's almost like when you're ready. See, I don't want to say it's an external thing that's going to happen. When you're ready, like I was talking, you know, you'll start seeing it. You'll start seeing the way through. The light you'll receive it when you're ready. When you're ready, otherwise it's like a hard truth of life. Sometimes we're not ready to see, and we have to stay in the suffering. No, they choose it, and I'll tell you why. When someone is suffering, what do? They listen to sad music. They watch movies. Yeah. They watch like either bad movies or scary movies or horror movies. They're creating drama with the people around them. They're just self-loathing, like laying around. They're not actually doing anything to try to get out of it. But I'll tell you what, if you're suicidal and you're depressed, if you just listen to some positive music and some happy
start building
some like comedy movies, like in a week, you're going to feel a lot better.
It's about fundamentally for me, when I got out of chronic depression, suicidal depression, a decade, give or take, daily, every day, all day.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm alive. I was on the edge thousands of times, literally on the edge of thousands of times.
Wow.
And so I don't blame people who slip. I don't blame them. It's like you can all, but thank God. Thank God I stepped back from the edge.
Right.
I was able to, but the only reason I stopped going there anymore, because I started being grateful for anything I could find.
Wow.
I looked for the little, and there was a little available, and
it could be like the roof over your head.
And I started just focus. Thank God for this.
Because
I'm lucky. Because some people they jumped or they went and they didn't have that little something or just the focus. And and then he started building on it and listening to the music, like you said. Listen to some positive music.
Right.
Then you'll learn. You have to do, or we have to do the next step.
Yeah.
We need to choose something else and then build ourselves and make ourselves and if. Yeah.
Well, because think about it, you're either living on heaven on earth or hell on earth, right? And it's really all just the state of consciousness that you're in. Because 2 weeks ago, I had this situation, and I really felt like I was living in a nightmare, and I couldn't wake up. I was like, I can't believe this is not a dream.
All of a sudden, something came on.
Something happened in my life. And it was so traumatic that I was living in hell. I was in bed, and this was like 2 weeks ago. Right, and look at me tonight. Right. I'm like bubbly and I'm happy, Yeah.
They're gonna come. It's gonna as long as we're alive, it's what we sign up for. So I think I contemplate that now, because I know stuff's coming for me as long as I'm still here. There's people I care about.
Yeah.
And that's really. at this point what I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
Stuff happening to them.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah.
main
That's true.
concern.
Yeah.
I focus on.
Seeing them suffer is the worst, right?
Who knows?
Like I don't even want to think about like my mom getting sick or dying and like having to see my mom. Oh my God.
And be there and be a part of it and all that. And we go through these things and then we find out.
That's why I really want her to get healthy, because it's for such a selfish reason. I don't want to see her suffer, get sick.
It's how, I feel you.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
hugely.
Or my children. Oh my gosh. It was so bad. If my children got hurt in the slightest, I would be in crippling pain. Even now, like if my daughter, somebody, like she's in has a boyfriend and he breaks up with her and she's crying.
Outcomes.
Oh my gosh. I can't, it's like, I can feel the pain. It's so hard. Like
I can try to imagine that as a mother.
Oh my gosh. Like,
yeah. So how do you approach that then? That with your daughter or with your mom?
I don't live near any of them.
You don't live near them?
Well, my kids live an hour and a half away, so they don't live far. But how
do you prepare yourself? And this thing happened a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, it's really hard, like with their lifestyle and stuff. I don't go in their house anymore, because I used to go in the house and it would just bother me. Just seeing everything they eat and the food they have in the house, and I'm like, I can't do it anymore. So what do I do? How do I handle it? I have to detach, honestly. I have to detach a little bit, because
that's healthy attachment, unattachment, and there's the correct
I think place. Because I'm a highly sensitive person, that I have to learn to separate myself from the other person. So
healthy boundaries
I feel
keep you healthy, so you can be of any good you can be, by not being too what is it? The sensitive person is too empathetic or too absorbed, identifying what you're saying.
Like when I was living with my kids, if my kids came home and had a bad day at school, I was like crippling. It was like crippling to me. Like I felt so bad for them that they had to endure that. They had a bad day, or somebody was mean to them, or somebody hurt their feelings, or they were left out and nobody wanted to play with them. Like it just it killed me. Like I would cry over it, So I think it's just because I'm a highly sensitive person. Like it was just really hard for me.
And the way to navigate that has improved for you over time, because you're learning more about being that highly sensitivity, like how to manage, how to live with that. But you weren't taught on how to live with it, right? So it's like,
I don't think people knew what it was,
No. They're just starting.
And I'm very
I pass out
empathic.
the book about that to people, because it's so fundamental. I do that highly sensitive person book. I pass it. I give it to people.
Oh my gosh, it's
read this, check this out.
It's a gift, but it's also a curse at times too. Like it's beautiful because I feel everything so deeply and so intensely. Like I said, like a flower. Like I could look at a flower and just cry because it's so beautiful. Or like anything, or a baby. Like I see somebody smile and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like I just feel something so deeply, right?
Yeah.
But then I also feel the opposite.
Sure.
So deeply too. And the darkness, the sadness, the pain.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it's the invitation to grow up, people, grow up souls. Time for you to really, it's like a higher class of, not better, but we get to stages, and now it's like that type of work. I mean, harnessing that.
When I moved, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. When I moved away from my family, it's not like I moved to leave them. I moved because my ex-husband got a job here, and I always wanted to come to California. But it was nice to step away from my family to really find out who I was, Sure. And when I moved to LA, my kids, they started living with their dad. And it was the first time that I wasn't living with my kids. So just separating the energy a little bit also helped me to feel my own energy and to heal. Like, it just gave me a lot of time to heal, like, so that I could be better. I can heal myself, because I really did deal with a lot of mental health issues, like the highly sensitive. It was really hard being a highly sensitive mom. Who knows? Like, I probably had like bipolar or something at the time, or you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, just hormonal issues.
Well, we are kind of living, I don't know, the world's a bit, I don't know, should I say crazy these days? And to be a highly sensitive person who is not nurtured to have that gift and utilize it.
Yeah.
Kind of, and when it's not utilized, it's powerful.
Right.
And so it creates, it's not. So
yeah,
it's understandable. It's understandable. And many people are dealing with this, and many kids and children are your children. Are either of them highly sensitive, would you say?
I think they're both something, I think my kids, first of all, I think my daughter's psychic. Like, remember how I was literally saying something about it's Friday the 13th?
I didn't hear. No.
Okay, so I was like, oh my gosh, it's Friday the 13th. I walked outside to go take a picture. My daughter called me and she goes, Mom, did you know it's Friday the 13th? Is that freaking weird? She does stuff like that all the time. Like, she's like, reads my mind.
That's cool.
But yeah, she doesn't like to be around big crowds. Like, it's too overwhelming, too stimulating. My son's the same way. It's like, it's too stimulating for them to be around a lot of people.
That's a huge indicator.
It is huge. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, they have that questionnaire in that Elaine. What's Elaine Ellen? Is that her name? Do you know? She wrote the Highly Sensitive Person book, which was really, she sort of innovated that field. I think she's the innovator. And there's a questionnaire in the beginning of that book. 25 questions to find out how sensitive you are.
Wow.
But the sensitivity is no better than insensitivity either. Just, I want to say that for the record, because
I think it's better being sensitive.
Insensitivity allows people to do other types of service in this world, or work in the world, or being, if everyone, we need the parts, the roles in the world to play and make society, even in a healthy society, we need less. Because
I feel like being highly sensitive, I could be more creative, more healing, more nurturing.
There's benefits to both.
There are benefits. Yeah.
It's like, well, sensitivity is the feminine aspect and insensitivity is masculine, right? So there's, it's the protector is going to be less,
right?
Like, can't be caught up in sensitivity.
Yeah.
Too much. Like, you got to be sensitive to be the best fighter, for example. The best like fighters, martial artists are highly sensitive. Yeah, that's something I keep exploring. So I'm like looking into all that domain.
Wow.
But I think about people who can go and like fight a fire, or like firemen. They're not going typically into the field of healing arts, because their nervous system calibration is less sensitive, so they're equipped to go and like fight a fire.
Yeah.
They don't get paralyzed and like overwhelmed.
Right.
Like all the processing of the highly sensitive person, which takes in an input and receives all this data and processes. But there's gifts for that to direct. So, bless you.
Oh, thank you. All right, should we wrap this up?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And do you want to say where people can find you?
Yeah, you can find me Instagram JaiZeta, JaiZeta, and that's where you can find me right now. More coming soon.
Are you hosting for the Raw Food Worldwide Meetup September 29th?
No, I won't be hosting.
You won't be hosting?
No.
Well, he did host in the past. He was a host, so he's here at the retreat.
I was a host.
He was a host.
Yeah, that could be its own podcast. I'm sure you've done many of those. So yeah. Of the different, anyways.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much. And again, my name is Jamie Love, and you can find me at AgelessBeauty143 on Instagram. And We'll see you next time.